This is after the flag, the 1,000th Grand Prix in the history of this incredible World Championship in front of the biggest crowd ever to see a MotoGP race day. And boy, did it deliver an incredible, dramatic 1,000th Grand Prix. The French Grand Prix will certainly go down in the memory books for a long, long time. A race won, though, by Marco Bezzecchi, his second win of the season. He moves himself right back into championship contention once again, but that doesn't even begin to come close to telling the story of what happened here at Le Mans today and this weekend. First of all, Simon, before we get into the many, many things that happened in this Grand Prix, as mentioned, it was a record crowd for a MotoGP Grand Prix event. What an event this 1,000th Grand Prix, this French Grand Prix was.
I've totally loved it. I used to get grumpy about the traffic jams into busy events because you're on a mission, you know, just to get to work or get out. But after COVID, and it made me sad, and the empty stands, and to come to this one, which is the other extreme, and the crowd love it. They're really vocal. It was wonderful.
A wonderful event, and as we mentioned, a highly dramatic Grand Prix. We'll try and pick the bones out of as much of it as we can through this Grand Prix. But first of all, a word for the winner, Marco Bezzecchi, who ultimately, once he dodged all of the mayhem that was going on, both in front and behind him, clearly had the pace to win that Grand Prix today. No one else could match him. And obviously, one Grand Prix win was good enough in the wet conditions in Argentina, but he's proven that that was no flash in the pan. This is a rider who is a serious, consistent front runner here. And
the speed he showed, and I think just as well he had it, because pushing Mark off the circuit, I was kind of watching body language, and Mark stepped it up another level, and I thought, ooh, Bez, you're going to get some payback in a moment. But Bez was fast enough to keep that gap from Mark, and then every time it came close, he'd get by another rider, keep another rider, and then just had too much speed and got away. But I think some payback's coming for Bez somewhere else.
Certainly will do. Let's work our way through the many key incidents in the Grand Prix. There was one on lap one, which we should actually mention first of all. Brad Binder was severely delayed by an incident, which we might actually see now as they come towards La Chapelle. You can see Alex Marquez on the inside there. First of all, your reaction to that?
Look, shame obviously for Brad's result, because he would have come back sooner. He did a great job anyway, but Alex, I'm a big fan of Alex. He's really clever in the debriefs. He's very fast. I believe he's going to be on the podium soon, and I believe he's going to win one soon, you know. Like, he's that good, but he's had a few too many of those, and that's why I've mentioned earlier in the season, and that's why I think there really should be a little black book, and once you've done so many, kind of ruin people's races, oh dear, that, you know, it should add up to a little penalty if you're doing it too often. I know there's enough penalties. Look at this. Sorry, we've got to talk about Marini's save. Wonderful save.
He just about completed the save, hadn't he? He was just about upright again, and unfortunately Alex Marquez nowhere unlucky to go in that one.
Yeah, and the aftermath had the hair standing up on the back of my neck, because Alex Marquez standing on the track, you know, with other bikes coming past, was terrifying.
Yeah, very quickly crawling out of the way, and the rest of the riders did a very good job to avoid him. In fact, the top two at the end of that Grand Prix, Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin, when you watch that super slow-mo once again, they actually got either side of the two bikes, so they could quite easily have been caught up in that. We did see a few moments ago the second of the big incidents in the race, which was between Pecco Bagnaia and Maverick Vinales. They were battling for third place at that stage of the Grand Prix. On the live, we called it, or I certainly called it, as two riders going for the same piece of racetrack. Is that how you viewed it?
Yes, look, that overtake, Maverick thought he'd got past, and Maverick pulled it right, and pulling it right put it into the position where Pecco had decided to put his bike. And look, later on, you saw Jorge and Mark do the same thing, but Jorge didn't pull his bike right, so he didn't collect marks. So what I'm saying is, one side you can say it's Maverick pulled it right, but Maverick has the right. He was in front, you know, to ride where he wants. So then Pecco takes a risk by riding up the outside of someone, because passing on the outside on motorcycle on racetrack is dodgy, because the person in front can push you off the track. Then the final thing is, Maverick pulled it right, but he had all I'm saying is, it's there's arguments both sides, but it was a racing incident, in my opinion.
A racing incident in the end, of course. We did see tempers flaring in the end between Pecco Bagnaia and Maverick Vinales in the gravel trap, but they did very quickly bury the hatchet. They actually returned to Parc Fermé on the same motorcycle in the end.
A quick comment on that is, look, when you're on the track and it's going really well, you're fighting, all of your focus is on going forward. You can't believe you've crashed, and there is a lot of emotion. You guys said that on the live, and I think the guys, if they don't actually punch each other like proper violence, give them a break, let them cool down. They were just shoving like happens in rugby all the time, and it's legal. Let them, and they're straight back to friends soon as that steam had been let off.
Yeah, they eventually buried the hatchet, which was good to see. Of course, we'll bring you reaction from the top three very, very shortly. Marco Bezzecchi ended up taking the victory, despite having to drop one position as well earlier on in that Grand Prix for a move on Marc Marquez. I get the feeling, of course I can't speak for the whole MotoGP fan base, but there might be a little less controversy attached to this call than perhaps we saw with the position drop in Jerez with Pecco Bagnaia.
You called it perfectly during the event, as in that it was a tough move because Bez ran onto the green as well. He couldn't stop, you know, and when it's that case, you overtake someone and you can't even stop yourself, and you end up off the track. It's too hard. So, but Bez did such a good job of dealing with that, then marching forward. He was the fastest man here today, fully deserved it.
Well, Johann Zarco ended up on the podium, a very popular podium indeed for him. Third place at his home Grand Prix. He's giving his reaction to Matt Birt.
Johann Zarco, a home podium in Le Mans, the 1000th Grand Prix, in front of the biggest crowd that MotoGP have ever had. You had to fight so hard, Johann. We'll take you back to the start of that race because you got ran wide into turn number 6. Can you just tell us exactly what happened there first?
Compared yesterday, start was much better, and also the first chicane I could gain some position, and I was great, even ready to attack Bezzecchi. But in turn 6, Alex Marquez arrived pretty quick on the brake, so I didn't want to crash, or I had to avoid him and go quite wide. I think he pushed a little bit Binder, but they could control well because no crash there. And but clearly I've lost a bit of position. Was a pity because the start was good, and then even the lap after, when Marini closed the front on the curbs, Alex Marquez could not avoid him. And then the guys on behind had to avoid both riders on the floor. So a lot of emotion in just few laps. And then I knew pace can be good. I wanted to be able to fight for the podium. But Fernandez on the KTM was quite quick and was not easy to overtake him. And I tried to do it. I did a mistake. Then Jorge arrived. He could overtake him. And then I could pass Augusto in the right moment. And at the end, I tried to be as close as possible from Marc and Jorge. Want to play my podium too. But luckily, Jorge gave a bit of pressure on Marc, and Marc crashed. So I could get this podium in that way. Try maybe to attack Jorge at the end, but he was fast. So magic moments here in France. A podium is always great, but a podium in France is even better.
Super special. Johann, just talk us through that last couple of laps when you were putting the pressure on Marc and Jorge. You could see them fighting. It was bringing you closer. And then when you saw Marc crash, what did you see happen to him? He just lost the front, pushing hard.
Yeah. I think Jorge overtook him on the brake in that moment, on turn 7. And knowing Marc, he is able to turn pretty quick. So maybe he tried to cross the line, but a bit too quick. So that's why he have closed the front. Maybe with a harder front tire has been also a bit more tricky than the soft one. So that's that we name it the race, and fortunately I was there to take the benefit of it.
You could probably hear the noise of the French crowd inside your helmet at that point because they knew you were on the podium, and when you came over the line, you've been on the podium here before in France, but this was different, it felt like, Johann. 112,000 fans, the biggest crowd we've ever had for a Grand Prix, the 1000th Grand Prix. That one standing on the podium there in front of the French fans must have felt really, really special today.
It's pretty incredible, yes. I got few moments 2017 2021, and but this one with the sun is even better, and the fight during all race was tough, and the public was even warmer than the past year. So yeah, it's a unique moment that you don't live many times in your life.
I know you're going to enjoy the celebrations tonight, John. You put on an amazing show for your home fans. It was a truly dramatic 1000th Grand Prix. You played your part in it. Very well done. The French fans are going home very, very happy.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, third place for Johann Zarco today. A special occasion for him, and in many ways just a reward for keeping your head, staying patient and staying out of trouble.
Yeah, and he showed his pace again late on in the sprint. You know, he was as fast as anyone on the track, last part of the sprint, and today he had more time to come back, and I think he'd have been in podium contention earlier if he didn't have that early, better grid position, but early, involvement with other riders that he spoke of, losing the places. Great job, great home crowd. I'm really sad Mark didn't get the podium because he fought so hard for it, but actually there's hundreds of thousands of people that are more happy that it did happen the way it did. Congratulations, Johann.
Yeah, we'll discuss Marc Marquez very shortly. We'll also come back to our podium finishers because we're going to hear from Jorge Martin and Marco Bezzecchi before we go off the air. But I want to mention someone that Johann Zarco gave a special mention to in that interview.
Augusto.
Fourth position. Just how good was Augusto Fernandez today, but in fairness, the whole weekend?
The whole weekend, especially in the mornings when it was cool and tricky, and he was fast. And he got through Q1 into Q2 for the first time. I would like to say Augusto Fernandez, take a bow. Like, he got fourth. It was going to be fifth. In a race, yes, we lost some riders, but it wasn't like he was half a lap behind. He was right there stalking them, when they went down. So I got to say, brilliant ride, and what a future to look forward to. And his employers will be really impressed.
Yeah, he certainly did himself and his home-based Tech 3 team proud. Hervé Poncharal was absolutely overjoyed with that result. Not quite as happy, though, as they were down at Mooney VR46. Victory today for Marco Bezzecchi. Your French Grand Prix winner is with Matt Birt.
So here he is, Marco Bezzecchi, Mini VR46 racing team rider. Marco, I've no idea where to even start to cover off that Grand Prix. First of all, congratulations to win in front of a crowd like that, the 1000th GP, but it's just an amazing story. So many dramatic moments that you had. Shall we talk about one of the big moments when Luca Marini, I still don't know how you avoided him, Marco, and then the crash that he had with Alex Marquez. Talk us through that moment to start with.
Yeah, well, I was behind Luca, and I was strong in sector 1. I tried to pass in the braking of turn 3, but he resisted to me. And then in the change of direction, I think he cut a little bit too much on the inside curb, and he lost the front. Fortunately, I saw that he was going a lot to the inside, so I was just trying to cross him in the next corner. I was not thinking about the crash. But fortunately, I was just in the right place to avoid him, and it's a shame to see this because the crash was ugly to see. When I saw the replay, I hope Luca is okay, and also Alex, of course. But fortunately, I was able to avoid him and don't make a disaster.
I think you also saw as well the incident involving Maverick Vinales and Pekka Bagnaia. There were so many big moments.
I saw the beginning, not all.
We won't talk about that, Marco, because obviously you were then involved in a real strong fight with Marc Marquez. You made that move into turn number 8, garage there. You both ran a little bit wide. You got the penalty, one drop position. I guess you thought that was fair, or did you agree with it?
Well, I expected because honestly I didn't want to pass, but I brake a bit too late, and when I realized that I was coming closer and closer, I tried to go to the inside to don't hit him in the back, and unfortunately I pushed him wide, so I said for sure they give me the drop position. I was ready for this, and I agree, also because it was a little bit too much. It's difficult to pass, but I didn't want really to pass, so it's okay. Fortunately, I keep myself calm for the penalty. I knew was coming, so I said, okay, I will try to find the right place to give this position and fight back.
And how did you do it? Because like you said, you kept you calm despite the penalty, but then once you got to the front, Marco, you were in a completely race of your own. 4.2 seconds clear at the end of that Grand Prix. I mean, you made it look easy. We know it wasn't. Your first win in the dry in MotoGP, which is a very special feeling as well. And when you crossed the line, knowing it was a historic race, the 1000th Grand Prix, with all those fans as well, that must have been a super sweet feeling.
Yeah, it was fantastic. You know, I saw that I was fast. At the beginning, I didn't want to use too much the front tire, but also I didn't want to put too much temperature on that. So when I was behind someone, I was trying to pass quite quick. And then when I found myself on the front, I said, okay, now I have fresh air. I try to push, and I see how it is. On Friday, I had a good pace, so I try to make the same. But honestly, it was even better, and I was able to ride 31.9, 31.8, and was fantastic. So I saw that I was escaping, and I tried to stay calm and concentrate, all one with my bike, and just an incredible emotion cutting the line finally on the dry, because, you know, on the wet was good, but in the dry even better because it's more funny.
And I have to say, I'm quite surprised, Marco, to see you with that moustache. I thought you'd probably be getting rid of it on the podium. He's laughing. He's got a big smile on his face. We were joking about it before he came on camera, because after Argentina, he made a bet with his team that he wouldn't shave that moustache until he won another Grand Prix. Thankfully, Marco, you haven't had to wait too long. And I'd imagine when we get to Mugello, you're not going to have that moustache, are you?
Yeah, I'm very happy. This is the thing that I'm more happy for, because you know, I make this bet in the really beginning of the season, just in December before Christmas with my team. We were having a dinner together, and I said to break them a little bit the balls. I said, okay, you have whole long beard. If I win, you will make the mustache, and we don't cut until I don't win again. But then when I won, I said no. Now I have to really make the mustache, and I was so nervous because I was not coming anymore. So today, fortunately, when I saw that the feeling was good, I said, yeah, today is the day.
So after you've had some more race-winning Prosecco, I guess you're running to the moto, Marco, and getting the razor out, yeah, and having a shave.
Sorry?
I guess after you've had some more Prosecco, you're going to rush back to the motorhome now,
yeah,
get the razor out, and have a shave.
For sure, yeah. After the press conference, I fly to the motorhome.
Well, you were a cut above the rest today, Marco. Huge congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic win.
Thank you.
Very well done.
Thank you. Ciao.
Well, we better hurry this show along then, because Marco Bezzecchi's got an appointment with the razor to come following the press conference. Of course, there's all sorts of analysis we can give you following that Grand Prix, but very simply, Simon, how good is he for MotoGP?
Wow. First of all, I'd like to point out, or ask, how lovable is he? You know, he's just himself, and that's normal. He makes jokes at us, the journalists, quite often as well, but all in good humour. Anyway, he's done wonderfully. Like I've said many times, he turned up in this class and he impressed straight away. His race simulations, like I've said before, in the crazy temperature in Thailand, track he'd never been, he was with his teammate the whole way. And now, you know, with a year under his belt, we're seeing proper. Yeah, he explained that one. Often they can't stop because the wings as well, following someone closely. But the guy is really good. And like I said, I'm excited about the future for him, you know, because I think he's going to keep doing this. He reminds me of Valentino in a few ways. It'd be very good to have the Italian fans back if he does this regularly. And the other thing about him, it reminds me of who is coming. You got to remember, he's a good Moto2 rider. There's more coming. I think the class is only going to get deeper in talent.
Yeah, MotoGP is a better place for having Marco Bezzecchi at the front of it. As you mentioned, he did explain that moment with Marc Marquez, which saw him handed that one position drop. That didn't exactly stop him from winning the Grand Prix in the end, did it? We should mention Marc Marquez, who missed out on the podium in the end. In many respects, you could argue he deserved a podium, although ultimately you need to see the checkered flag to deserve that podium finish. But to have that Honda in second place for as long as he did in that Grand Prix, fighting tooth and nail with Jorge Martin, incredible ride.
Marc is, you know, flabbergasted me again, like he does. You know, you just don't expect what is possible with Marc. And he's come here, and it kind of, can I use a funny, I'll put it into a story. To me, it's like a the great boxer has turned up, you know, the champ. He's been off for a few months. He comes back in and he's fighting tooth and nail with everybody. And he's got a ball and chain around his ankle in the form of a Honda, you know, slowing him down. And he's still fighting with everyone. He is, I mean, he's an animal and I love it. You know, he fights so hard. It's amazing. Like I was saying, Bez was lucky to run away. He was going to get, you know, get it back. Jorge was very clever, very cautious, very clean, and he stayed out of trouble because he knew that Mark would, you know, rough him up, and he didn't want to go down. And so he did it cleanly, stayed out of trouble, but he had to make a lot of passes. And I think Johann Zarco put it perfectly what happened. Jorge came through. Mark tried to make the bike turn more, and instead of, you know, letting the force go out of it and let it come back, he tried to make it come back more because he wanted to fight Jorge right to the end.
Well, all in all, you'd have to say Marc Marquez will take plenty of positives from this French Grand Prix weekend. And when you think of the races we have to come as well in June, in particular, the Saxon Ring is one that Marc will have a keen eye on. He's so good there. The battle for second, though, between Marquez and Martin was won by the Pramac racing rider. Let's hear from Jorge Martin now with Matt Birt.
So what a fantastic weekend it's been for Prima Pramac Racing. The sprint win from this man, Jorge Martin, a double podium today in front of a phenomenal French crowd. Jorge, so many major talking points in that race. You're involved in so many of them. Right from the start, you got pushed out wide going through turn number 6, and then obviously the mistake going down into turn number 8. It was a very eventful beginning of that race for you.
Yeah, you know, it was a really eventful race, as you said. I started well, but then... Vamos! Esperadme, cabrón.
Here's Alexis Spargo just coming to congratulate Jorge after that podium. Lining up some drinks later on.
Yeah, sure, mate. You can trust me. No, well, then I had a moment with Luca, so then I went to 10th position. Then I was, you know, I was like shitting myself, sorry to say, but then, you know, I was thinking a lot, really clever, and I said, okay, I have time enough to come back slowly. I didn't push a lot on the tire. Step by step, I was coming, overtaking riders. Then I avoided some crashes also. With Luca, I was super close to crash. And then, you know, when I arrived to Mark, you know, we had our moments in the past, so I knew it was going to be a hard battle, but I really enjoyed it. I think we all gave us our space. For sure was close, but this is racing. I enjoyed a lot making that move 3 to go. I hear he's crashed, so then I was a bit more relaxed, and just keeping that distance with Johann till the end was almost easy compared to the battle. But I really enjoyed the battle, and I would like him to finish because you know, it was going to be a nice talks about the race.
Jorge, just talk us through that moment you just touched upon there, the real big scare that you had with Luca Marini and Alex Marquez. We saw you do a fantastic job somehow to miss those guys, but can you just tell us from your point of view exactly what happened?
I mean, I didn't see it at all. I just go into the corner. When I opened the throttle, I saw the crash, and then I tried to avoid. I think I even touched Luca, but yeah, luckily I was on the bike. I lost like 1 second or 1.5 seconds to the guy in front, and then I tried to push a lot to close the gap. And yeah, I feel like in that moment we lose maybe the options for the victory, but it was a nice race.
And talk us about that battle with Marc Marquez, because we know Marc's one of the most aggressive, hardest riders in the history of this championship. Yeah. You were really pushing hard as well. I mean, like you said, you've had your words this season, the both of you, but it was clean, it was very, very hard, and I guess you really enjoyed it to come out on top in this one.
Yeah, you know, I was expecting this fight for some races already, and finally it arrived. I felt like even third position was good for me because I didn't finish on the podium yet, so I just wanted that podium, but I didn't. I mean, Johann was coming, so we had to fight. I tried some moves like 6 or 7 times, and I was difficult. He was braking super hard. Also with the hard front, he had something else on braking. But I tried. Finally, I got that position, and he made a mistake. But I really enjoyed that race. You know, battle with him, you always improve and you always learn, because he's a great champion, and I'm super happy to finally beat him.
And just finally, Jorge, of course, a great day for the team. What a day it was for the championship, the 1000th Grand Prix in front of a record crowd. Special to stand on that podium. You must feel now, after the win, the sprint yesterday, the podium here today, that you can really kick on from now. You've got a lot of belief, a lot of confidence, and you're going to be strong now for the next few races.
I feel like, you know, finishing the races was our target. Today, even 3rd or 4th was better than a crash, for sure. So I just wanted to finish. The finals we did it, and finishing on the podium was amazing. The win of yesterday gave me a lot of push, a lot of motivation, and for sure confidence that I am one of the strongest. Finally, I start to realize that we are one of the best out there on the track. So just keep that momentum, try to work in a good way, and focus like this one all the weekends.
We've always known you're one of the best, Jorge. Huge congratulations. You always put on a special show. You did so again today in that French Grand Prix. Enjoy the celebrations.
Thank you. Maybe I need to believe a little bit more, but it's arriving. It's arriving.
It's coming. It will come. Well done, Jorge.
Well, he certainly put on a show this weekend. Winner of the sprint, second in the main Grand Prix. In many ways, it's easy to think of Jorge Martin as a great front runner because he so often qualifies very, very well. He's so good over one lap. He's been very good in the sprint so far this year. But that was a different kind of Jorge Martin podium, wasn't it? He had to really think his way through that. 10th on lap 1, but he didn't lose his head. He kept his head, picked his way through to second.
I've been hoping, waiting and hoping. As you know, I'm a Jorge fan because of his speed. His outright speed is amazing. But I've been very disappointed this year that I haven't seen another layer of Jorge. He's had enough time in MotoGP now, and I've finally seen it today, and I'm really, really pleased for him. That he's done this. That was a challenging race because having to come back from 10th, like he said, he had to be clever, not overuse tyres, danger. It was very easy to crash. He managed all of that in a fight with Marc Marquez and a few others on the way, especially with Marc. And that was what I was hoping to see. Not just the outright speed, but clever, a bit of maturity coming in. And yeah, congratulations, Jorge.
Fine performance from Jorge Martin. Second for him, you saw a congratulation there from his good friend Aleix Espargaro. 5th for Aleix Espargaro today in the end, just pipped on the final lap by the star rookie Augusto Fernandez. And Brad Binder completed the top 6. That was a bit of a save, really, given that he was 16th at the end of the first lap. And given that Pecco Bagnaia, of course, didn't finish the Grand Prix, Binder closes in, takes 10 points out of that World Championship lead. 14 points, covers the top 4 in the World Championship as we head to one of the other classic venues on the calendar, the Italian Grand Prix at Mugello. That's coming, of course, on the second weekend of June. If you're watching us live, the press conference is coming up in just a moment, so stick around for that. If not, myself, Simon, and the rest of the team will see you at Mugello for the Italian Grand Prix in a few weeks' time.